2 Chronicles 7:14 says, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I'll forgive their sin and heal their land." Welcome to Breion's Diary, where we talk about life. We are healing, growing, and building our confidence and self-esteem. So, a word that stuck out to me when I was looking up the definition of humility was unpretentious. And unpretentious means to not attempting to impress others with an appearance of greater importance, talent, or value than is actually the case. And I believe I talked about this word before, but it also involves being genuine, modest, and not putting on airs or pretense. I felt all the conviction when I read that, because I was guilty of this, like red-handed. I had a habit of trying to impress others, specifically with people that I really looked up to, and that wasn't good because it caused me to put on a mask and lie a lot of times about my life. And so with that being said, I learned that because I was doing this, I was not humbling myself before God. I was still trying to be in control of my life and wondering why I wasn't making progress as fast as I would have liked to. Oftentimes I would blame the enemy as to why I was having delays, or not even just the enemy, other people, or getting rejections, but I realized that a lot of it was me. I was still trying to create what I wanted for my life and not what God wanted for my life. Why did I do that? It was because I wanted what I wanted and I wasn't including God in my plans. Looking back now, it may have even been a little bit of God's way seemed a lot longer, a lot harder to me. Almost like I didn't trust Him, because what He was showing me and the visions He was giving me and the blessings that He was showing me that I would get, I didn't think that it was possible. I thought it was impossible, which is what we know as limiting beliefs and limiting God. I wanted quick results. I wanted fast results. I wanted instant gratification. So God told me to fast, and I was wondering what I should fast for. And when God brought to me humility, I said, you know what? I'm going to humble myself before God and deny my flesh, and for once, do what God tells me to do. Stick to the fast, learn how to let go of control and allow God to be in control for once in my life. Fast to humble myself, fast to follow His direction and not my own. Learn how to truly hear from and allow God to guide me this time. Humble myself and fast to build an even deeper trust. Humble myself so that God could cleanse my heart of pride, control, and my own desires. And then I wouldn't have to feel shame or guilt. Then I wouldn't be so frustrated or mad or prideful because I'm doing everything right. And you know what? God always teaches me in Proverbs 16, when I go to Him in frustration. So in a way, I'm glad I didn't get certain blessings when I wanted them. Humbling myself actually feels good. I did beat myself up when I realized how selfish I was, which came from trauma, honestly. But at the end of the day, that's what going to God and asking for healing is about. Humbling myself is also knowing that I do not have to impress, prove, or explain myself to anybody. I live my life the way God tells me to, not boastfully but boldly, not prideful but confidently through God. And humbling myself to also know that I won't always be so bold, I won't always be so confident, but learn to trust that God is always there. Humbling myself to understand that I'm not perfect. I am going to make mistakes, So not controlling, but fully humbled by God and led through His guidance. Humility comes with surrenderance. As much as I thought I surrendered to God, I didn't until I finally dropped my ego and realized that I really cannot do life without God. Humbling myself before God, consulting with Him, has saved me from a lot. If you feel like your life is not where it should be, or you feeling frustrated, just as I did, allow that false foundation to crumble. Allow it to break down, just as it did for me. At the time I thought I was a failure, but no, let God guide you. Matthew 7:25 says, "The rain came down, the streams rose. I went to God, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and yet it did not fall, because it had a foundation built on a rock." That's a foundation built by God. I remove that pride and shame and let God know, hey, I know that I have been trying to do things my way despite what you have been trying to tell me. And I have been stubborn as well. But I surrender and humble myself. I confess. I admitted my wrong to God. I told God I allowed you to lead my life. I'm in a rebuilding stage, and I even had to remove pride in that area that I have to even rebuild. But I understand that God is just trying to help me to create a life that is more fulfilling for me, one that brings me joy and happiness every day that I wake up. And I can wake up full of passion, a passion and love for life within everything I do. So me reinventing myself, one of the biggest core values, always have a humble heart and a humble spirit. And lastly, humbling myself helps because it helps me to be humble towards others and not judge. I've said this many times, everything that we go through is not for us. Remove shame and understand that this is life. Jesus humbled himself despite how much rank he had spiritually. He still lived amongst us and taught us the knowledge. He died for us knowing that it will save us. He didn't have to do that, but he did. He sacrificed himself. So yes, we go through things, but what happens when you run into someone years later who's going through the same thing that you went through 2 years ago, 5 years ago, even 10 years ago? It's easier to be encouraged by someone who understands and have experienced what you went through or what you're going through versus someone who hasn't experienced anything in life but trying to give you instructions. You're most likely going to hear them, but you're only going to take it from a grain of salt because you're going to feel like they don't understand. So I'm going to leave you guys with some verses on humility in the next stream, and let's write them down because I need reminders constantly. And let's read them, let's study them, and let's apply them in our lives. And I hope this helps. But one thing I will say to that, being humbling myself has brought me real joy and peace. When you humble yourself before God, it allows you to be more humble. And when you humble yourself towards others, it just teaches you how to love better, how to become a better listener, you know? And life just, I'm not gonna say life ain't hard, but it's a little bit easier because you just move out God's way, and it brings like a level of maturity, you know? So that's all I have. Again, I hope this helps. In conclusion, healing isn't linear, it is a journey, and here at Breion's Diary, we are healing together. We are in this thing together. I'll see you next Thursday at 4 p.m. where we will be talking about core values. All right, I love you guys so much. Bye. Mwah.